Hi everyone. It's a pleasure to be here in Istanbul with you. So I'm Mattéo, I'm the CEO of Pragma. And so today, the title of this speech is Cairo and the Rush to the New Gold. And this is a reference to a film I particularly like, which is the film from Charlie Chaplin, The Gold Rush. And I'm going to explain this reference because I think there's a really good parallel with what we've been experiencing with Cairo, especially with like the transition from Cairo 0 to Cairo 1. And so if you didn't see this film, basically it's the story of a guy who's looking for gold, and in this pursuit of gold, he just happens to have lots of problems. He almost like starves to death, and I think it's a really good analogy to what lots of us have been experiencing with Cairo. And so basically, I'm here to try to Cairo pill you, or if you're already Cairo pilled, maybe try to give you the long-term view, because it's really hard to, when you're in the day-to-day coding, really think about the long-term view. So I'm going to try to do this. And so first, I think we need to make sure we have a common ground. And so I'm going to try to give you my view about what should be crypto for. And so I think, and so I have a dream that one day we will, in the world, be able to verify any transfer of value or information and make that verifiable. So this is the future I'm looking for crypto, but it's also the future I'm looking for the more global society. So being able to verify any transfer of information or any transfer of value. We started really good with Bitcoin, and so being able to have transfer of value in a verifiable and transparent way. And I think it's going to be more and more useful to have it on the information side of things, with all the things that are going in AI. And so being able to verify any information or any transfer of value on the net is really something that crypto should try to do. And it's like one of our core value as a community, and I think that you share some of it if you're here today. And so the question is, how do we make this happen? So we have blockchains, we now have proofs, and so how do we enable this transfer of value of information in a verifiable way? And so today we mainly have two solutions, and I'm referencing a talk from Sylve in starknetCC in Paris, which I encourage you to go and see. And basically we have two solutions. The first one, we have the put everything on chain bro character, who just tells you to move everything on chain in order to make this verifiable. This is a problem because we know now that we are not able to put whole of the internet on chain, and so we just won't be able to make it work. The second solution is the second character who's telling you prove everything, bro. And so that's the new Stark maximalist who's telling you just prove everything. We don't really need to have blockchains. We just need to have trustlessness through proofs. But you lose a core value of blockchains, which is like having a shared state. And so I think there's no good solution between those two. And so that's why I'm arguing that in order to have something much more powerful, we should just mix those two solutions. And I'm going to explain that. So basically the idea is that we don't need to put everything on chain, neither we need to prove everything. Basically you need to put on chain what needs a hard, global, and just accessible state, and the rest you can just prove it. So when you did global state, you put this on chain, and then you just prove the rest. So that means computation, mainly computation, and things that just doesn't need to have a global state. So that's what I think is going to happen in the next years. We're going to see more and more applications that are transitioning from having everything on chain to have more and more things that are just proven. And that's fine because we still get the property of trustlessness with proofs. And so we're already seeing that with coprocessors that are coming. stuff like this that will enable you just to put logic in a provable way and put on chain only the core thing that need to have a shared state. So now about Cairo. What does Cairo brings us here? And if you believe in the future that applications will have part on-chain and part off-chain and proven, basically Cairo proposes you to have, so Cairo is basically a provable language and also a smart contract language. So in the future where you have stuff on-chain and stuff off-chain, you don't want to have two code bases. You want to have one code base that interacts with all those different parts in a secure and reliable way. And so what I'm telling you is that Cairo is just the perfect language for you to write applications that benefits from this design of having stuff on-chain and off-chain while keeping the same core values that we have. That means verifiably and like proving all the transfers of value and information. And you don't really want to have solidity on one part, and I'm arguing here that basically lots of ZK VMs took the choice to go with solidity and just prove solidity. But the main problem with that is that it's just less efficient and less secure. And so when you're going to need a smart contract that does all those things, you're going to go with Cairo. And basically my main argument is that in a few years, it's going to be clear that we need one language that does all those things and not different languages to handle the different parts of the same application. So this is something that you can feel, but I'm just going to quote a book that you should read if you're launching a startup or even if you're interested in architecture and design, which is basically the innovator solution. And what that graph tells you is that mainly you have a competitive advantage at the very beginning to have highly integrated companies or highly integrated infrastructure because you don't need to deal with modular stuff. And so you have a big competitive gap at the beginning to have things highly integrated. And those things that are highly integrated is, for instance, Solidity, which is a smart contract language designed just to run for the EVM and to do one thing very well, which is writing smart contracts on Ethereum. Now, you have this competitive advantage at the very beginning, but there's a point where you meet the needs of your users, of your customers, and at this point, users start to not care about the performance so much, but care more about what they can do with your technology. And so that's at this point where users will start to look for modularity and not like highly integrated and have something that is really performant. And I think we're slowly reaching this point because what we see today is that with all the DeFi protocols, all the apps, they explored pretty much everything that's available with Solidity. But now they're looking for something more. They're looking for coprocessors. They're looking for more computation in order to build protocols that are just more performant. And so we're just slowly reaching this point where it won't matter much to have something really performant in terms of language, but to have something modular that you can use in different contexts. So when we reach this point, Cairo will just make much more sense than Solidity because it's much more modular. You can do just anything. You can use it off-chain. You can use it to code your smart contracts. And I hope you'll be able to do everything else as well. So this is, I think, the bull case for Cairo, and this is why you should really get interested in Cairo. Even if today we see lots of traction for ZK VMs that like just take advantage of the network effect, I think we're slowly reaching that point where modularity and having a language that enables you to do just much more stuff will really matter. So now, I talked a little bit about the theory, but in terms of numbers about Cairo, what we can see is right now a good global adoption of Cairo and of starknet. So you can check like the developer report from Electric Capital, where starknet is one of the only ecosystems where you have more and more developers coming, be it on a 1-year basis, 2-year basis. We have like lots of contributors since Cairo is now open source, and more contributors just contribute on Cairo, and more than 1,000 repositories on GitHub. So we can really see the early traction here, but I think we still need to work a lot, and especially towards modularity, in order to realize the promises that we see with Cairo today. And so here are a few things that I think would help Cairo to have more modularity and more adoption. Those things are, so for one, support more provers, being able to use other provers than Stone and Sharp, in order to have more adoption and people from other ecosystems building on Cairo, open to more contributors. It's really important to have more of the people here contributing to Cairo. That's really like a really core value that we should have, contribute back to this language, have more diversity in terms of VMs. It's something that Starkware and the Starkware Exploration team is doing a lot, but we still have too few VMs in Cairo. And also something that I'm going to detail more, but start to work to integrate Cairo in more parts of the stack. And as I told you, right now you're really focusing on taking Cairo and using it on StarkNet, but you could really use it anywhere else, because at the basis it's just a provable language. And so I encourage you to, as always, be really strange and try new things with it. I'm just going to give you a few examples that people are already building, people are already leveraging outside of StarkNet. But basically, like, build provable APIs, provable games, just take your logic off-chain and just send the proofs. You can so Giza is working on provable inference, so for AI, basically provable algorithms. And I strongly encourage you to start to think outside of the box and just take Cairo as a provable language and not only as the smart contract language from StarkNet, because it will make much more sense in the future to leverage it in just other parts of the stack. So yeah, I really strongly encourage you to build with Cairo, contribute to Cairo. If I can just, it's pretty much the end. If I can just shield for tomorrow, we have an event for Madara. Feel free to scan the QR code, but we're having a small event for Madara. So feel free to come. We are going to eat kebab and have a good time. Thank you.